But as far as your writing process, Charlie, did you get into a routine after a while? It sounds like you did, or how did you do that? You just sat down with a cup of coffee in the morning, or do you go late at night, or what do you do?
So I'll give you, I'll tell you on a couple of books. So the first book is The Octopus. That's the one I wrote in total secrecy. So with that one, I just wrote when I could. Like if my wife was out, at work and I was home, I would write. So wherever I had time, I would write. Then the second one is a book that hasn't even come out yet. It's a book with Jeff Berwick, who is the Dollar Vigilante. He owns a company called the Dollar Vigilante, and he also puts on this event called in Acapulco, Mexico, the largest anarchist convention. So with that one, I was more upfront about what I was doing with my wife. I said, I'm writing this book with Jeff. And then my wife and daughter went away on vacation, and I stayed home. And then in that particular case, my routine was this. So it was just me, and this was all I was working on. It was during the summer, and I had 6 weeks. And so what I did was I would wake up around 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd go to the gym for an hour. I'd come back. I'd make breakfast. I'd start writing by about 10 o'clock. I'd write from 10 o'clock in the morning till about 8 o'clock at night. And then I would eat an edible. And then I would start doing all of the footnotes for the next 2 hours while that edible kicked in. And then I would watch SportsCenter and go to bed. And then I'd wake up the next morning. I would do the same thing. And in both cases with this new book that will be coming out and The Octopus, the way I wrote them is something that I think a lot of people might get scared off of the concept of writing a book, but I'll explain how I did it, and it's less scary when you do it this way. So for every new topic, I didn't start on page 1 and end on page 540 for The Octopus or any of the books. And there's a third one that I'm working on already. What I did was I opened a new Word document for each concept and just wrote there. So if I woke up one morning and the police state was big in my head, like that's all I was kind of focusing on, even if I hadn't started that chapter yet, I would start a new Word document, police state, and I'd write as much as I could there, and I'd save it. And I'd have a folder on my computer. And when I got done, I had a folder with 50 different Word documents on it, each one a different topic. And I would just make sure that each one of those was complete. Then I would get sticky notes, and I'd write the name of each one of these concepts on a sticky note, and I'd go to my long dining room table, and then I laid out the 8 tentacles of the octopus, which was like military control, governmental control, covert control, scientific, spiritual, media, all these. And I would put all those down, and then I would take the sticky notes and I would just figure out which chapter was going to go where, lay it out that way. Then I would build it. So I just assembled the book like that, 50 chapters, putting them in different order, and then filled in like about a paragraph that would connect the two together, find some common thread between them and assemble it all. Okay. So that's how I wrote it. So I know some people like to start on chapter 1 and write the introduction, all that. And that's fine if that works for you, but I've just done it this different way because some days you don't know, some days something's more interesting or something's more pressing. It's in the top of your mind and you're like, I just really want to focus on that or something. So
right. There's a certain energy that catches you, or
yeah. When I'm just like really pissed off about something, they're like fired up about it, like either mad or happy or whatever, but just emotional. I have some energy about it. I will write that and then put that away. And then if tomorrow I feel like writing about that, I'll do that until it's finished, and then it goes in the completed folder. And so that's kind of how I did it. So you can kind of I bounced around from topic to topic to topic. And then as far as The Octopus, one of the things you read in that intro is that I had quotes from over 500 different people that had either some relationship to these events or they at least had an interesting take on it. And so I also had a separate document that was all of these quotes from Rockefellers and Rothschilds and Clintons and Bushes and Joe Rogan and Bill Hicks and George Carlin and all these guys. So then as I would get to a part that and I had a pretty good idea of what the quotes, there wound up being 700 quotes in the book, but they're from 500 different people. I had a pretty good idea of whether I'd be like, oh, this is a good one for that section. Then I would drop it in. So
Okay.
That's
So
kind of how I built it.
you kind of bounced around based on how you were feeling or what you were
Yep.
reading, what you were thinking at the time. At
Yep.
what point in the process did you, maybe this was right away before you started, did you realize it was 8?
Oh, I knew it was 8 from the beginning. I knew there were 8 because
Okay.
it was just because it was the octopus. So I laid out the first
so
thing I did was
based it off your symbolism.
for sure. Yeah. And it's not, and I didn't come up with the concept of the octopus. In fact, one of the quotes that I put in the book that's really good is this description from the mayor of New York City, where he's talking about this sprawling octopus with its tentacles in the courthouses and the media and governments and all this. And he's talking about this, he's talking about the Rockefeller standard interest or Standard Oil interest is what he described it. And you get to the bottom and you read this quote and you realize that the guy said it in 1922 and you're like, God damn, the octopus concept has been around for 100 years or so. And Danny Casolaro wrote a book called The Octopus. So it wasn't new. I mean, I didn't invent it. It wasn't my idea, but I did like the concept of the octopus because it's an animal that's well, first of all, it's known to change colors and look different depending on its situation. We know about it spraying ink, which is a distraction, so it can get away. It's really fast. They're very intelligent, manipulative. They know how to. You can see videos of them learning how to open up mason jars underwater and get crabs out that are in there and things like that. And so
I saw one video where they. It was like in a pet store, and the octopus at night would like crawl out of the aquarium, play with toys, and then put the toys away before the owners came back. And they didn't know this until they looked at the security footage. It's kind of interesting.
They're super intelligent. And so I thought about all these things, and they've also got a hidden beak that you don't really see until it's too late. If it gets you, it'll tear you apart. So I thought, well, this is kind of a good symbolism for these maniacs that are running the show because they have similar tendencies. They can camouflage themselves and fit in. They can change, they can spray ink. They can manipulate you because they're intelligent. They can stay and fight or flee and come to fight another day. So all these...
whatever tactic is the best for survival is the one that's going to be used. Yeah,
for sure. And then the cover art for my book is let me grab it really fast.
Yeah, I can pull it up too, Charlie.
Oh, okay. Well, this particular cartoonish octopus, I changed the color from yellow to red, but it came from. That's the logo that is on the National Reconnaissance Office. NROL-33, I think. One of the spy satellites that they launched has that big octopus logo on it, and above it says "Nothing is beyond our reach." And I was like,
"Our government launched that."
What's that?
That was our government.
Yeah, our government launched that.
Okay.
In fact, if people go on YouTube or wherever and they search Jon Stewart show, NROL, he even did a segment about it where he's like, check this shit out. Are you kidding me? So he was goofing on the fact that they were so blatant in their logos. And so anyway, I just, between the octopus concept, the 8 tentacles, which work for me as far as the 8 different ways they control people, it all sort of lined up. But then within those 8 tentacles, I might have 7 or 8 different, Word document sections for each one, so
okay.